In the module Sunshine and Shadows, students learn all about the properties of shadows. A shadow is formed on a surface when light shining on an opaque object is reflected or absorbed by the object and an area of shade falls on the surface. Three things are needed to make a shadow: light, an object, and a surface. The darkness of a shadow depends upon the intensity of the light source, the amount of scattered light that reaches the shadow area, and the type of material that the object is made of. A few factors affect the position and intensity of a shadow. If the angle of the light that strikes an object is small, the shadow will be long. As the angle approaches 90 degrees, the shadow becomes shorter. And when the light source is directly above the object, it is possible to have no shadow at all. Students observe that when the light source moves from one side of an object to the other, the position of the shadow moves as well, and that the shadow is always on the opposite side of the object from the light source that creates it. In a more complicated example, students see that when two or more light sources are involved, the result can be multiple shadows. For this result to occur, the lights must shine on an object from slightly different angles. It is possible, however, that no shadows will be seen when two light sources are shining on one object. For this to happen, each light source must illuminate the area where the shadow cast from the other light would fall. In this module, students become familiar with the difference between the terms opaque, transparent, and translucent. An opaque object is one that completely blocks light and will cast a dark shadow. A transparent object is one that transmits light so that objects on the opposite side are clearly seen through it and will cast essentially no shadows at all. A translucent object is one that allows some light to pass through it, but not enough to allow objects on the other side to be clearly seen and will cast faint shadows. Students also become acquainted with the terms umbra, the dark part of the shadow, and penumbra, the lighter part surrounding the umbra. Both are formed when the light source is larger than the object, and a shadow may have both an umbra and a penumbra. In this module, students explore sunshine and shadows with 12 hands-on activities and the Delta Science Reader. They begin with a simple definition of a shadow and end with a full-fledged original performance in a shadow theater. Once students identify what is needed to make a shadow, a light source, a solid object, and a surface, they are off and running. In both indoor and outdoor activities, students make predictions about how shadows change position, size, and length, and even become multiples or disappear. From their experiments, students draw conclusions about variables, such as the sun's movement, that affect shadow shapes. Students also build sundials to put shadows to work telling time and create silhouettes to explore shadow properties. In the Delta Science Reader, Sunshine and Shadows, students learn about how shadows are formed and why shadows change size and shape. They find out about different sources of light and identify the kinds of objects that block light to make a shadow. Students are also introduced to the job of a meteorologist, a scientist who studies and forecasts weather, sunny and otherwise. Finally, students learn how sundials use sunlight and shadows to tell the time.